So I was helping my dad install a screen door the other day. Well, helping is a strong word. I was there. That's probably more accurate. My dad wanted to put in a new screen door, and he called me up and said he needed help. I drove over there knowing full well that I would be completely useless. But you go anyway, because that's what sons do. You show up and you pretend like you might know what you're doing. I get to his house, and he's already got all the tools laid out on the driveway, just perfectly organized. Drills, screwdrivers, and things I don't even have names for. My dad's from that generation where they just know how to do stuff, like actual useful stuff. I went to college for 4 years, and I can't install a screen door. I can tell you about the symbolism in The Great Gatsby, but if you need a door hung, I'm out. That seems like maybe we made a mistake somewhere in my education. My dad hands me this thing, says hold the level, and I'm looking at it like he just handed me a piece of alien technology. Said, is that what this is called? And he just looked at me. That look. You know that dad look. It's not anger, it's just profound disappointment that his genetics produced this result. Like he's wondering where he went wrong. Was it something he did? Should he have made me play more sports? Should he have forced me to help with more home improvement projects as a kid instead of letting me watch cartoons? You can see him running through all these questions in his mind while I'm just standing there holding the level wrong. The thing about my dad's generation is they didn't have YouTube. They just had to figure things out. Something broke, you fixed it. You didn't Google it. You didn't call a guy, you were the guy. My dad can fix a lawnmower, build a deck, rewire a lamp, barely change a light bulb without getting nervous. Even then I'm thinking, should I turn off the power to the whole house first? Is that a thing? That seems like it might be a thing. So I just stand on a chair in the dark and hope for the best. We start working on the screen door, and my dad's explaining what we need to do. And I'm nodding along like I understand. I don't understand any of it. He's talking about hinges and jambs, and I'm just thinking, a door is a door, you just put it in the hole, right? But apparently there's measurements and levels and something called a strike plate. I don't know what a strike plate is. Sounds like something from baseball. But I'm not gonna ask because I've already asked too many questions, and I can feel his disappointment growing. He tells me to measure something and hands me a tape measure. Now, I can use a tape measure. That's one thing I can do. You pull it out, you look at the numbers, you tell someone the numbers. My dad wants me to measure to the nearest 16th of an inch. 16th. I can barely see 16th of an inch. I'm squinting at this tape measure like I'm trying to read fine print. I tell him a number and he measures it himself and says, that's not what I got. And I'm thinking, well, one of us is wrong, and statistically speaking, it's probably me. Here's the thing about doing projects with your dad. They don't talk a lot. They just expect you to know what to do next. He'll be working on something and then just stop and look at you. You're supposed to automatically know that he needs the Phillips head screwdriver. But I don't know that. I'm standing there like, do you need something? Are we taking a break? Is this a union job now? And he'll finally say, Phillips head, and I have to look at all the screwdrivers because I'm not entirely sure which one that is. I know it's not the flat one. That's a flathead. I know that much. There's like 4 other screwdrivers here, and I'm playing a guessing game. My wife asks me why I don't know how to do this stuff, and I tell her, nobody taught me. But that's not true. My dad tried to teach me. I just wasn't paying attention. When I was a kid and he was out in the garage building stuff. I was inside watching TV. He'd say, "You want to come help me?" And I'd say, "Nah, I'm good," and go back to watching Saved by the Bell. Now here I am, a grown man, and I can quote every episode of Saved by the Bell, but I can't install a screen door. Zach Morris never had to install a screen door. His dad was never like, "Zach, we need to talk about your future. You need to learn a trade." No, Zach just schemed his way through life, and it worked out fine. So we're installing this door, and my dad says, "Go grab the shims." And I just stand there. I don't move. Because I don't know what shims are, I'm afraid to ask at this point because we're an hour into this project. If I was going to ask what shims were, it should have been at the beginning. Now if I ask, he's going to know I haven't been paying attention to anything. So I just start looking around for something that might be shims. I'm looking at pieces of wood, screws. I'm just hoping something looks like it could be called a shim. Finally, walks over and picks up these little wedge things and says, "Shims," real slow, like he's teaching a toddler a new word. The door is finally in, and we're trying to get it to hang right. My dad's adjusting these hinges with a precision that seems unnecessary to me. I'm like, "Hoot's a screen door. It just needs to keep the bugs out." But to him, it needs to be perfect. The gap at the top needs to match the gap at the bottom. Everything needs to be level and square and plumb. I don't even know what plumb means, but apparently it's very important. The door looks fine to me, but he's out there with his level, checking everything multiple times. I'm thinking, "Dad, it's fine. Let's go inside and have a sandwich." But you can't rush these guys. My dad will spend 4 hours installing a screen door that probably should take an hour and a half because it needs to be done right. Meanwhile, I'm the guy who hangs pictures on the wall without measuring anything. I just eyeball it. The picture is crooked and my wife makes me redo it, and I tell her, "It looks fine." And she says, "It's 3 inches higher on the left side." And I say, "Nobody's going to notice." And she says, "I noticed immediately." And I have to get the ladder back out. After we finish the door, my dad wants to show me how to adjust it if it ever starts to stick. He's explaining this whole process involving screws and hinges. And I'm nodding, but I'm not retaining any of this information. This is going in one ear and out the other. If that door sticks in 6 months, I'm calling him. I'm not going to remember this. Barely remember my Wi-Fi password, and I type that thing in every week. You think I'm going to remember which screw to turn on a screen door? My dad keeps all his tools organized in his garage. Everything has a place. There's outlines on the pegboard where each tool goes. It's like a museum. My tools are in a drawer in the kitchen, all of them, just thrown in there together. Screwdrivers, hammer, some Allen wrenches that came with furniture I bought 7 years ago. If I need a tool, I dig through that drawer like I'm searching for treasure. Half the time I can't find what I need, and I just use a butter knife as a screwdriver. My dad would have a heart attack if he saw that. I think there's something wrong with my generation. We outsource everything. Something breaks, we call someone. We don't even try to fix it ourselves first. The toilet's running, call a plumber. The door squeaks, call a handyman. My dad would never call someone for a squeaky door. Put some WD-40 on it and move on with his life. Takes 30 seconds. But I don't even own WD-40. I don't know where you buy WD-40. Is it at the grocery store? Is there a WD-40 store? I could Google it right now, but I'm not going to because I don't need it until something squeaks. By the time something squeaks, I'll have forgotten that I wanted to buy WD-40. My dad still has tools from the 70s. They still work. They're older than me, and they work fine. I bought a drill 2 years ago, and I've already lost the charger. It's not a small thing, but it's gone. Disappeared. So now I have a drill that doesn't work, and I'm too embarrassed to tell my dad because he'll ask how I lost the charger, and I won't have a good answer. I'll just have to say, I don't know, it was there, and then it wasn't, and he'll give me that look again. The screen door looks great, perfect, level plumb, whatever else it needs to be. My dad did a fantastic job. I was there. I held some things, handed him some tools, usually the wrong ones first. I feel like I earned partial credit. Like, if this was a group project in school, put my name on it even though I didn't do much. My dad did all the work, and I stood there learning nothing. The door is in, and that's what matters. He asks me if I want to learn how to do some weather stripping next weekend, and I tell him I'll check my schedule. My schedule is completely empty. I'm not doing anything. But I need to maintain the illusion that I have plans. I'll probably end up going over there because free food is usually involved. My mom makes lunch. That's really why I help with these projects. It's not about learning skills or bonding with my dad. It's about the sandwiches afterward. I think my dad knows this. He's not dumb. He knows I'm never going to install a screen door on my own. But he keeps inviting me over to help anyway. Maybe he just likes the company. Maybe he thinks if he exposes me to enough tools, eventually something will click and I'll suddenly become handy. Like one day, I'll be holding a drill and muscle memory will kick in and I'll just instinctively know what to do. But that's not going to happen. I'm 40 years old. If it was going to happen, it would have happened by now. My wife thinks I should take a class or something, learn some basic home repair, and maybe she's right. Here's my thought process. We've made it this far without me knowing how to do any of this stuff. Things break, we call people, they fix them, life goes on, the system works, why mess with it? She says, what if something breaks in the middle of the night? And I say, then it stays broken until morning when we can call someone. She doesn't love that answer, but she can't really argue with the logic. The truth is, I'm a little afraid of tools, power tools especially. Those things are dangerous. You can hurt yourself. My dad's been using power tools for 50 years, and he still has all his fingers. But that doesn't mean I will. I feel like I'm one slip away from an emergency room visit. So I just avoid the whole situation. My wife wants to hang shelves. Hire someone. She wants to replace a light fixture. I hire someone. She's starting to think I'm lazy, but I prefer to think of it as cautious. I'm being safe. They're smart. There's nothing wrong with knowing your limitations. But sometimes I wonder what it would be like to actually know how to fix things. To have someone call and say, my sink is leaking, and instead of saying, call a plumber, I could say, I'll be right over and actually fix it. That would be cool. That would feel good. But then I remember that I would have to learn plumbing, and that seems like a lot of work. So I'll just keep living with not knowing and being okay with it. My dad's disappointed, my wife's frustrated, but I'm comfortable. That's what really matters.